Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and part 2 of the ANNA Nicole Smith life and death story. If you have not seen part 1, I highly suggest watching part 1 first. It will be linked down in the description box below in the very first line, and I'll also remember to link it up above. So go ahead and watch that one first and then come back and finish this one. I love you so much. So the crazy thing about the rumors that she had done drugs in order to slim down and maintain a slimmer waistline, if you will, is that even so, the owners, the makers of Trim Spot and ANNA Nicole herself were sued because some people, I guess, bought the product and it didn't work. So that kind of does say that possibly she really was doing drugs in order to slim down, because she did have that thyroid problem and naturally that was making her gain weight. So she was doing something to counteract that weight gain from the slowed down metabolism from her underactive thyroid gland. Let's go back to a little bit more history of ANNA Nicole Smith's legal woes. Now, the legal woes began after, like I said, after her second husband passed away and he had not written her into his will. Now, according to ANNA Nicole Smith, their entire courtship and since the day they met each other, and especially after they were married to each other for 13 months, she swears that J. Howard Marshall promised her half of everything he made, so half of his estate, and that her and Daniel would be set for life and protected forever.
Promised me once we're married, you know, half of everything is mine. That was his promise to me.
Now, his son fought back tooth and nail. In my opinion, he was very rude to her in court. The attorneys were extremely disrespectful.
Isn't it true when you were doing these tapes, you would take off your top while you sat there next to him and got him to say these things, wouldn't you?
Oh, Mr. Hart.
Is that true or untrue? If somebody was, pardon me?
That is not true. And
Pardon me?
I think you're sick.
She was basically made fun of. Every indiscretion that she'd ever done publicly was brought into court. Her education was brought into court.
You graduated from which med school?
Yeah, I'm a dropout, Rusty.
No one's talking
I'm not
about
a
you.
bookworm.
Ma'am,
I'm not a smart person.
Listen,
but I know that
Ms. Marshall.
my husband was choking to death.
There were so many things, and you could just see that she was being attacked. And even while she was being attacked on stand, she still stood up for herself, and she still got her 2 cents in.
you're just up there making stuff up as you go along.
I am not making anything up, Rusty.
Ms. Marshall, have you been taking new acting lessons?
Screw you, Rusty.
And the court in California ruled in her favor, but the court in Texas did not. Even though Smith was not in the will of J. Howard Marshall, she claimed that in return for marriage, Marshall orally promised her half of his estate, which primarily consisted of his 16% interest in Koch Industries, then net worth, which was $1.6 billion. So his son, whose name was E. Pierce Marshall, was completely against this, and he disputed the claim. Smith temporarily joined forces with J. Howard's other son, J. Howard Marshall III, who was disowned after attempting to take control of Koch Industries. Howard III also claimed that his father had verbally promised him a portion of the estate like Smith. Howard III was also left out of the will. The only person that was included in his will was his other son, E. Pierce Marshall. So in 1996, Smith filed for bankruptcy in California as a result of a $850,000 default judgment against her for the sexual harassment of a nanny who cared for her son. Now, this is one thing that I did not know about, and I still don't know all the details about. But apparently, ANNA Nicole Smith was in deep debt because the nanny that cared for her son sued her for sexual assault and won. Now, I believe sexual assault is a criminal offense. I don't know, but I guess the nanny won $850,000. So ANNA Nicole Smith had no money left, and because she was a big spender and she had nothing in the will left to her. So she was fighting this battle. Howard K. Stern, her personal attorney, was helping fight this battle with her, as well as J. Howard Marshall's younger son, the one that was named after him. But it was a mess. And so, like I said, in 1996, she filed for bankruptcy in California. Since any money potentially due to her from the Marshall estate was part of her potential assets, the bankruptcy court involved itself in this matter. So in September of 2000, a Los Angeles bankruptcy judge awarded Smith $449 million.
I only want what my husband wanted me to have, and and I won that in California.
So you can see after she leaves the courthouse this day, she is excited. She's like, victory, you know, like very head held high. Unfortunately, in July of 2001, a Houston, Texas judge named Mike Wood affirmed the jury's findings in the probate case by ruling that Smith was actually entitled to nothing. The judge ordered ANNA Nicole Smith to pay over $1 million to cover the legal costs and expenses of E. Pierce Marshall. The conflict between the Texas probate court and California bankruptcy court judgments forced the matters into the federal judiciary of the United States. So a federal court took over this case. This case went all the way to the Supreme Court. In September of 2005, the Supreme Court of the United States of America decided to hear the appeal of that decision. The George W. Bush administration, directed by Paul Clement, the United States Solicitor General, to intercede on Smith's behalf out of an interest in expanding federal court jurisdiction over state probate disputes. Lucky for her, on May 1st, 2006, the Supreme Court unanimously decided to favor Smith. The decision did not give Smith a portion of her husband's estate, but affirmed her right to pursue a share of it in federal court. So basically, she had to go to court just to be approved to pursue this in the state courts, in federal court. For me, this is very confusing because I would have thought that the federal system would have outweighed the state courts, but I don't know. So on June 20th, 2006, E. Pierce Marshall died at age 67 from an infection. His widow, Elaine Tetmer Marshall, pursued the case on his behalf. The case remanded to the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit to adjudicate the remaining appellate issues not previously resolved. Unfortunately, after her death in 2007, this case continued on behalf of her daughter, Danny Lynn Burkhead. In March 2010, an appeals court upheld the verdict barring Smith from the estate. Following the decision by the United States Courts of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, lawyers for Smith's estate appealed the decision to the entire Ninth Circuit. On May 6, 2010, unfortunately for Danny and her father, the appeal was denied. On September 28th, though, 2010, the Supreme Court of the United States agreed to hear the case. On June 23rd, 2011, the case of Stern versus Marshall, the Supreme Court issued a ruling against Smith's estate, ruling that the California Bankruptcy Court's decision that gave her estate $475 million was made without subject matter jurisdiction. The court agreed with the ruling of the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit that a bankruptcy court could not make a decision on an issue outside of bankruptcy law, which to me makes sense, but I don't know why they did that at the time. I didn't understand that ruling either when I read it because it was a bankruptcy court. I don't know how they thought they had subject matter jurisdiction to rule on an estate matter, like a will matter. So then in 2011, Smith's estate filed a motion in United States District Court to obtain $44 million in compensatory damages and to sanction the estate of E. Pierce Marshall. In August 2014, David O. Carter, a federal U.S. District Court judge in Orange County, rejected these efforts. That's pretty much it as far as ANNA Nicole getting any part of her late husband's estate. Basically, she saw none of the money and neither did her daughter. And her daughter, I believe, is 11 years old now. So in the midst of these legal battles and her failed reality show and that sort of thing, ANNA Nicole Smith met an entertainment photographer at the Kentucky Derby in May 2004 at the Trish Barnstable Brown Gala, one of the major Louisville area Kentucky Derby parties that attracted many celebrities. So apparently he was photographing her and she blew him a kiss. She was very flirtatious with him, and she ended up giving him a Polaroid of hers. Basically the same like 8x10 photos that she would give fans, except for the one that she gave Larry Burkhead actually had her phone number on it, and apparently they soon became very attracted with each other and had a very hot relationship. But this is one of the very few things that ANNA Nicole Smith withheld from the public. So she maintained this very private relationship with Larry Burkhead, and apparently nobody really knew about it except for him and her and a few of the closer people in her life, like Howard K. Stern. So apparently Larry was really good for her. He really tried to help her slow down a little bit. He really wanted her to stop using drugs, become more serious as a mother, but for some reason she just had this like push and pull kind of way in the relationship. Basically, she would push him away and then pull him back and then push him away. And anytime he would try to leave, she would basically say, "You're going to regret this." And she would kind of insinuate at the end of the relationship that she was pregnant. And then in 2006, for some reason, she decides to go to the Bahamas. Now, she's in the Bahamas, and on June 1st, 2006, on her website, on the internet, she tells the entire world that she's pregnant.
Hi, it's me, ANNA Nicole, as you can see. I've been hearing a lot of gossip in the papers. Is Anna pregnant? She's pregnant. She's pregnant by some guy. Well, let me stop all the rumors. Yes, I am pregnant. I'm happy. I'm very, very happy about it. Everything's going really, really good. And I'll be checking in and out periodically on the web. And I'll let you see me as I'm growing. So that's it at this time.
And I guess she had told people close to her that this was Larry Burkhead's baby. And she had told him also. There is a lot of different speculation as to why she went to the Bahamas. It is said, some people are saying that Howard K. Stern tried to sabotage the relationship with her and Larry Burkhead because he was jealous. He wanted to be part of her estate. He wanted to be the father of the baby. I don't know exactly. This is all alleged. So while in the Bahamas, there are leaked videos that are extremely disturbing. Probably the most disturbing videos we've all seen of ANNA Nicole Smith. Like, out of every single thing that she's ever been filmed doing, whether it was her mess up at the AMAs or her reality show, this is the most haunting thing and the one thing that I think about when I think about her and her troubles. Now, there is a video of her where she has on like clown makeup. She's holding a baby doll and she's talking like just really out of it. Like, she seems like she is lost. And she's currently pregnant at this time. Howard K. Stern is the one filming this intimate video, this private video. And even in this video, he's asking her if she's on a mushroom trip, which is very alarming considering she's pregnant. And he's also saying, oh, this video is money, as if he did not have her best interest at heart and he was just looking at her as dollar signs. And that's one of the reasons a lot of people do think that he took her to the Bahamas. Like, he convinced her that her former boyfriend, the guy that got her pregnant, Larry Burkhead, was a bad guy. She was in the Bahamas for the rest of the pregnancy, and she actually gave birth in the Bahamas. And Larry Burkhead, the father of this baby, was in the States and had to watch this birth, which she gave via C-section, on Entertainment Tonight.
Freaking out.
Baby Danny Lynn's amazing entry into the world.
I had to watch my own child being born on television, and they showed all of it, the C-section, everything.
I guess ANNA Nicole sold the rights to the birth and an interview for $1 million to Entertainment Tonight. This is something that I did not know until I started researching this case just recently. Apparently, when her daughter, who's known as Danny Lynn now, she was born on September 7th, 2006. So the first name that she gave her daughter, who's now named Danny Lynn, was not that name. It was actually Hannah Rose.
ANNA Nicole gave birth to a baby girl she named Hannah Rose.
This was on the birth certificate, and I guess in the Bahamas they're more lenient about what father can be put on the birth certificate as well, and she put her attorney, Howard K. Stern, down as the father. Now, of course, Larry Burkhead witnessed this, and like I said, he witnessed the birth on Entertainment Tonight. And he knew that he was going to have to fight for this paternity of his daughter because he knew that was his daughter. And he also knew that ANNA Nicole was probably not the best person to be raising her at the moment because she was fighting some demons, and those demons were addiction. You know, was her addiction to whatever drugs she was on. ANNA Nicole, like I said, was super close to her son, Daniel, like very, very close. Now, Daniel was 20 years old at the time of his little sister's birth. And 3 days after she was born, he come to the Bahamas to be with his mom and his little sister. Now, It is said that Daniel hated to fly. He had major anxiety, but he did it for his mom. It is also said that he took extra medication himself in order to get over the anxiety of flying, because his mom basically convinced him and kind of pushed him to come see her. Now that's what is speculated. I don't know, I wasn't there. Craziest, most tragic thing occurs, and literally he's asleep in bed next to his mom in the hospital. His mom and sister, and Howard K. Stern is there too. And when ANNA Nicole wakes up 3 days after Hannah Rose is born, her son Daniel is literally passed away in the bed next to her suddenly. His death is a very mysterious occurrence in this whole situation because he was only 20 years old. He was pretty healthy, and most people said that he was not addicted to drugs. But then the toxicology reports did show that I guess he had methadone in his system.
Daniel's body contained a lethal combination of methadone and the antidepressants Zoloft and Lexapro.
And it is said that he had taken an extra bottle of methadone that belonged to his mother, and that is how he obtained the methadone. He stole it from his mom, allegedly. And I guess methadone is used for the treatment of heroin addiction and extreme chronic pain. I'm talking, I think, like cancer patients, like that kind of pain. This is not just like my back hurts. Like, you don't just get put on methadone. Like, that's unheard of. Methadone is super dangerous. In fact, some people say that methadone is even more addicting than heroin itself. I don't know. I don't know at all. I have no experience with any of that, but I have heard horror stories about this drug. But they did rule the death as suspicious. So they did bury him in the Bahamas, and ANNA Nicole did not handle his death well. It is said that she died a little bit when he died. That's when she started to die. She even tried to get into the casket at his funeral. And after he passed away, she renamed her daughter, Hannah Rose, as Danny Lynn, in honor of her son Daniel. So ANNA Nicole just started to really slip through the cracks, like just really slip into a deep depression naturally. She lost everybody close to her, or her second husband, who was the one man that really loved her. You could definitely tell. And she really trusted him. And so she had her son Daniel. He was the constant person in her life. And then when he died, she felt like all of her abandonment issues, like everything just came to the surface, and she was just not the same. After her son passed away, she did a commitment ceremony with Howard K. Stern, and it was a really absurd thing to kind of look at. I mean, you can clearly see that this is probably orchestrated by Howard Stern himself. And they exchanged vows in an informal commitment ceremony aboard the 41-foot catamaran Margaritaville off the coast of the Bahamas. She wore a white dress and carried a bouquet of red roses, while he wore a black suit with a white shirt. Although they pledged their love and made a commitment to be there for each other, for a Baptist minister, no marriage certificate was issued, and the ceremony was not legally binding. So allegedly, ANNA Nicole Smith and Howard K. Stern stayed in the Bahamas for the rest of 2006 in order to avoid paternity testing, like court-ordered paternity testing with Larry Burkhead, because he wanted to get custody of his daughter, Danny. So in late 2006, ANNA Nicole Smith was granted permanent resident status in the Bahamas by Immigration Minister Shane Gibson. But then on February 11th, 2007, newspaper photographs emerged showing Smith lying in bed embracing Gibson, the minister. So opposition politicians in the Bahamas accused the minister of improper behavior. He resigned as a result of the controversy and claimed that the photos taken by Howard K. Stern were innocent. Now, I don't know why they were taking these photos. I don't know if it was like blackmail. I have no idea, but Howard K. Stern seemed to be at the forefront of a lot of the controversies surrounding ANNA Nicole's life in general. So in order to have permanent residence in another country, you have to have a basis for this. And ANNA Nicole's basis for permanent residency in the Bahamas was the claim that she owned a $900,000 mansion, which she said was given to her by a former boyfriend, real estate developer Gaither Ben Thompson of South Carolina. Thompson asserted that he loaned Smith the finances to purchase the property, which she failed to repay, and that he was attempting to regain control of the property. Thomas then sued ANNA Nicole to evict her from the property in Bahama court and received a default judgment against her when she failed to respond to the eviction or appear in court on November 28, 2006. Ford Shelley, Thompson's son-in-law, claimed that methadone was found in Anna Nicole's bedroom refrigerator while the mansion was being reclaimed. A photograph provided to TMZ showed a large bottle of methadone along with vials of injectable B12 in the refrigerator and a diet product called Slim Fast. In 2007, they returned to the United States, and I guess they went to Florida to purchase a boat. I don't know, something like that. So apparently they were staying at the Hard Rock Hotel in Seminole in Hollywood, Florida, in room 607. Anna Nicole was in her room, and I guess someone was taking care of Danny Lynn, the nanny was. So on February 8th, 2007, she was found by her bodyguard's wife, who attempted to perform CPR for 15 minutes, and then they called 911 because she was unresponsive. I guess she had had a fever for a few days, the first few days when she arrived in Florida, but because of the fear of the paparazzi and some negative publicity, Anna Nicole did not want to go to the hospital. She basically said, I refuse to go because of the paparazzi and I'll be fine in my room here. And they tried everything to get rid of her fever and to help her feel better, but nothing was really working. And it is speculated that Anna Nicole Smith actually had an infection in her bottom. I guess she would give herself these vitamin B12 injections. According to her bodyguard, she did this a few times, like every 4 hours. And she thought that this was like the way to maintain a healthier weight. And I guess she had an abscess of an infection at one of the injection sites because she did it so often to herself. This probably was one of the causes of her fever and her not feeling well. Basically, if she would have been treated and given antibiotics, allegedly, she would have not died. Now, this is alleged. In her toxicology report, she had over 9 different drugs in her system, 4 of which were anti-anxiety medications, which would suppress her respiratory system. They definitely slowed it down. And she also had a sedative, like a sleeping medication in her system too, which was more than likely the thing that killed her, I guess. So after a 7-week investigation led by Broward County Medical Examiner and forensic pathologist Joshua Perper, in conjunction with Seminole Police and several independent forensic pathologists and toxicologists, Perper announced that Smith died of combined drug intoxication, with sleeping medication, chloral hydrate as the major component, but no illegal drugs were found in her system. The official report states that her death was not considered to be due to homicide, suicide, or natural causes. Anna Nicole Smith's death was eventually ruled an accidental drug overdose of the drug chloral hydrate that became increasingly lethal when combined with 4 benzodiazepines, including Klonopin, Ativan, Cerax, and Valium, and she also had Benadryl in her system. And this is not the first celebrity death that included Benadryl. Apparently Benadryl is not really good to be mixed with any other over-the-counter medications or prescription medications. And she also had Topamax in her system. Another case where we saw Topamax in someone's system was Kanika Jenkins. I did cover her mysterious death, and I will leave that link down below if you guys have not seen it before. Despite rumors of methadone use due to its involvement in the death of Smith's son, Perper only found methadone in her bile, indicating it was probably ingested 2 to 3 days prior to her death, and therefore was not a contributing factor to her death. The autopsy report indicates that abscesses on her buttocks, presumably from prior injections of vitamin B12 in the form of cyanocobalamin, as well as human growth hormone and viral enteritis, were contributory causes of death. It was reported that 8 of the 11 drugs in Smith's system, including the chloral hydrate, were prescribed to Stern, not Smith. Additionally, 2 of the prescriptions were written for Alex Katz, and one was written for Smith's friend and psychiatrist, Dr. Christine Elaine Urkosich. Those people were actually all prosecuted in a court of law for giving her these drugs because a lot of them were not written for Anna Nicole herself.
They included conspiracy to supply a controlled substance to a known addict.
I discovered that there are a number of people around her that enabled her, that allowed her to get these prescription drugs, and no one really shook her up and said, look, you gotta live your life this particular way.
Doctors do not have a license to pump
innocent and often vulnerable people full of dangerous chemicals.
So another legal thing that came up involving ANNA Nicole Smith was where to bury her. Now, Larry Burkhead, who did finally prove paternity to Danny Lynn, wanted to bury her, I believe wanted to bury her in her hometown in Kentucky or somewhere in America. Her mom wanted to bury her where she grew up, and then Howard K. Stern wanted to bury her, I think, in the Bahamas. Like, these people wanted to bury her in 3 different places. So a judge had to rule on where ANNA Nicole would be buried. And when he gave the ruling, he actually cried.
I want her buried with her son in the Bahamas. I want them to be together. I signed this order, effective almost 4 o'clock.
I'm not a robot. I feel every day. I have compassion and love. I don't worry about public opinion.
He was very emotional, this judge was, and he ruled that she should be buried in the Bahamas next to her son, Daniel. And that's where she was buried. So they had a funeral there for her. So like I said, Larry Burkhead did prove paternity to Daniel Lynn, and he was granted custody of her shortly following the test results of his paternity. ANNA Nicole was only 39 years old at the time of her death, which is very sad. Like I said, Danny Lynn is now 11 years old and she lives with her father in Kentucky, but they are considering, I guess, moving to California. But contrary to popular belief, Danny Lynn is not an heiress to some huge fortune. She did do some modeling, but she wants to be a kid. So she leads a pretty normal life with her father. They do things in honor of her mom, like they go to the Kentucky Derby because that's where he first met ANNA Nicole. He still loves her a great deal, and I feel like Larry didn't really get much of a closure on the relationship with ANNA Nicole Smith because basically he found out she was pregnant, she went to the Bahamas, and kind of was kept away from her because of Howard K. Stern's influence, allegedly. And so basically the remainder of the time when she was alive, it was him trying to get paternity testing of their daughter, and ANNA Nicole just not wanting to do that and pretty much avoiding him. So basically the final year that she was alive, she just pretty much avoided the father of her daughter, and that really made Larry very sad. There have been quite a few things inspired by ANNA Nicole. Obviously, there's a ton of art. A lot of people get, her face tattooed. There's a lot of clothing lines that honor ANNA Nicole's image, very much like Marilyn Monroe. She's right up there with Marilyn Monroe. I mean, they're both one and the same as far as Hollywood starlets taken way too soon by accidental drug overdoses. Now, there are conspiracies, of course, like many celebrity deaths that happen very suddenly, similar to Kurt Cobain, Brittany Murphy, Amy Winehouse. Like, a lot of people speculate, like even Heath Ledger, these celebrities overdosed. Kurt Cobain is a different story. I do want to cover his life and death as well. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to cover the life and death of Kurt Cobain. Come to this video if you do want to see that. Some conspiracies about ANNA Nicole Smith's death is that she did not take these drugs willingly, that there was a conspiracy amongst her entourage to give her these drugs because they were not all prescribed to her in order to get her to overdose, to die. Because she was in debt, she could no longer afford to pay them. I don't know what the reasoning behind it was, but there is that conspiracy. And in fact, people from her immediate entourage were taken to court, like I said. I think the psychiatrist was found guilty of 1 count, and I think she did lose her license or it was suspended. There's not a whole ton of literature. Like, you have to look for this stuff to find it. Some people say that the family of J. Howard Marshall had something to do with it, but that's totally unbelievable because they were nowhere near ANNA Nicole. So that's just silly. Plus, nobody from her estate got a dime from his money anyway, so that doesn't even make sense. Her entire life is very sad. I do feel like she definitely left her mark on history and in Hollywood. It's so tragic the way her life ended and that of her 20-year-old son. You almost wondered if things would have turned out this way had Daniel not passed away, had Daniel not gone to the Bahamas. Would he still be alive today? I don't know. It's unclear. Okay guys, so that's going to be it for the life and death of ANNA Nicole Smith. Now, she is an absolute icon to me. Obviously, this video is done with 100% respect to her, her family members, and ANNA Nicole herself. I wanted to be like her. I wanted to look like her. I wanted to dress like her. I just wanted to be gorgeous. And I know that I'm not alone in speaking for a lot of former girls that tried out for Playboy or posed for Playboy, that ANNA Nicole Smith was absolutely an icon to me, somebody I looked up to as far as her career with Playboy and modeling, and just the glamour. Like, there's just something captivating about ANNA Nicole that you cannot deny. Just looking at her on the red carpet, even in her most disastrous interviews, you know, or presentations, like when she's talking about Kanye West, like even then, there's just a star quality about her, and a sadness that is like the sadness, like there's a very human, identifiable aspect to ANNA Nicole Smith that I feel like is very relatable, and also very, like, the star quality that's very unrelatable and unattainable, and something you just admire. And I know a lot of people judged her, a lot of people made fun of her, a lot of people still do if they talk about her, but to me, she was a beautiful soul, and I just hope that whatever comes after this lifetime, whatever that looks like, or whether it's nothing, I just hope that she has some sense of peace. I just wanted to talk about her, and this was a requested video. Like I said, it's a little bit different to cover on my channel, as this is not your typical true crime case, but it does fall into the conspiracy theory, mystery genre, I do believe, of YouTube. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. How do you think she passed away? Do you think it was an overdose? Do you think, I mean, obviously there has been a ruling on her death, but like I said, there are some things where they say she had an abscess from giving herself vitamin B shots. There are some people that said that it was the combination of the sleeping medication, and it was way too much, and she was on all these different anti-anxiety medications, so she was drugged, or they pushed medication on her. And like I said, I did not know that her attorney and her psychiatrist and her doctor were actually prosecuted for basically giving drugs to a known abuser or something, like whatever the court ruled. I just always try to bring something different to the videos that I present to you guys, whether it's information that I'm learning myself, and there are a lot of you guys, so there's got to be other people out there that did not know this information like myself. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thumbs up this video and subscribe to my channel. Turn on the bell just so you are aware the next time I post another video. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be a true crime case. I do believe it's a missing person case. So I will see you guys in my next video very soon. I love you so much. Bye.